So I'll start with the first question to Hitesh as to how can India evolve a strong ecosystem in rigid packaging to emerge as a serious player in the global landscape?
First of all, really a privilege to always come back to India and seize the energy and vibe in the conference. So really excited. And I will start with being a little provocative. Yeah, and while I see that India, we have a lot of potential, there is so much of growth happening, and there's a really great story which is building in. But I'll be open that, we are not playing to our potential. Yeah, and why am I saying? Because we are really looking at the opportunities which we see in India, which is absolutely fantastic, but the world is a bigger playground. And I'll give you two facts that corroborates this point. First, we are a 1.4 billion population, and our exports out of India is to the tune of around $429 billion. While we all talk about China, and China is really big in the game, there is one country which is 1/10 of our population, has recently beaten us in this exports market, and that is Vietnam. So Vietnam last year closed 430 billion of exports with just 120 million people. So while we are winning in India, I can very clearly tell we are not winning in the world. There are some countries who are doing things far better. And I think what is important for us is to learn what are other countries doing so well and how can we learn from that. So that's one. The second important point is, again, I'll go back to one more data fact which tells us, and Gagan, you talked about phones. Yeah, and Apple is here and we are a lot of talk about Apple. Apple, and there is a very good book, and if you have time, you should read, which is Apple in China. Apple has so far invested more than $275 billion in China.
Point of view.
Thanks, Gagan. Thanks, Nidhi and the team for organizing this wonderful session. I think year after year, I think this is an excellent gathering for people to come and share thoughts. Like Gagan has mentioned while he's opening that Trump is wreaking havoc with the tariffs. One reason could be that this time we cannot see Ivanka Trump around. And that is exactly what I saw. There is a poster just besides while coming up, New India, and below that majority are women. But I have gone through the speaker list, the panelist list. We have hardly the presence of women. Somebody has mentioned that also. I think in intellectual discussions, in this kind of knowledge sharing, it is important that we should have a good presence of women. Why do I say that? My question, to answer the question is, what are the gaps we see? So one gap could be more of the people, the diversity that we kind of represent. I was traveling in one of our neighboring countries recently, and the majority of the people I come across in the plastic industry where the people are interacting were women. So I think we need that for, say, more diverse thoughts and, say, intellectual inputs. That is one. Some of the things my co-panelist Hitesh has mentioned, rightly mentioned. The other thing what we require is scale. It was mentioned in the plenary session also by the plenary session speakers very well, that we need to go global. We cannot have only a domestic demand to continue to serve. We should be global in terms of upgrading our technologies. And say, for example, Godrej Consumer Products, we must be one of the largest consumers or users of, say, aerosol valves in the country today.
Thanks, Mr. Gagan, for the question. I'd like to thank Nidhi for inviting me in this panel discussions. I think I'm here for all the 10 Elite Plus. Thank you so much for inviting me for this 10th Elite Plus also. speak about the rigid plastics, talking about the virgin plastics, we are talking about the recycled content, recycled plastics, PCR, etc., etc. The major gap is, first gap I will tell is, it's the behavioral change or the attitudinal change, which is very, very important. We talk about a very good material, plastic, which is a miracle materials, which has been a part of our life in each and every aspects. Wherever we go, we see plastics. But the behaviors has not changed. Post-consumption of plastics should be disposed of in a proper manner so that the segregation, the source segregation, which is lacking, should happen. That is very, very important. So once that gap is filled, then the plastic will come again for a circular economy. That is point number one. Point number two is the infrastructure requirements. So we don't have the infrastructures which is required for getting this plastic back, getting it recycled. Because there are lots of recycling industries, maybe formal, informal industries in the country. But still they face challenges with respect to getting the feedstock for the manufacturing. Okay. If I talk about rPET, so I had visited multiple rPET manufacturing industries. 25 to 30% of the plastic is getting wasted, that is rejected in the first phase itself, in the feedstock. So that means if there is a discipline system to bring in the good quality of plastics to the recyclers, that means the recycling is going to have a good quality of plastics. And this is going to help us in two tunes to say like. One is
I come back to you again. One of the challenges is that people are now even started looking at alternate materials in place of, plastic. Because the pressure of plastic being seen as a more of a villain. So how can rigid packaging portfolio realign itself to combat threat of alternate materials like paper, glass, etc. in the context of increased environmental scrutiny?
Thanks for the question, and thanks Nidhi for this opportunity. So I will take, before answering this question, I will take one observation from Peter. What he has said, still we are struggling for our aerosol bottles because we have one brand, Yardley. Same story here. We still struggle to get correct aerosols in India. So we are depends on outsiders. So this is, I agree with Peter what he has mentioned about this manufacturing. So now let me highlight what exactly you are expecting industry to revert on that. So as a Wipro, we have a lot of products. I can say it's almost 60% products, it's in rigid plastic, rigid packaging. So out of few products, and if I consider entire basket, so few products are like floor cleaner, few products are, hand shower. So this is something where we are not down gauging, as Umeshji mentioned, we are optimizing on the micron, total GSM. But thing is that consumer experience is something where we have to compromise a bit because you need a certain body of that bottle or that container, which gives you premiumness also. So if we do that optimization, what we can do? So as an aspiration, we take this aspiration from bottling, water bottle industry. So we started doing something. Can we increase that sturdiness by introducing some dosing, maybe nitrogen dosing or CO2 dosing? So that is one of the things as a Wipro we have taken a pledge, at least to do something on that part. Other than PCR and this bottle weight enhancement, it is going on everywhere. Across industry is doing. But other than that we are concentrating without changing anything. Can we do something with dosing? So,
Yeah.
Yeah, good afternoon all, and thank you Nidhi for giving me this opportunity. And really this question will be my experience of last 10 years working in this area. So I'll try to make it very crisp and so that I can convey the message I want to give. This sustainability, the globally if we see, and everyone has read it, and I think the chemical recycling is one of the key initiatives. And as my friends have, even in the previous panel business session, we have heard that PET is one of the example in front of us where 90-95% of the PET bottles are getting recycled as on date. So the mechanical recycling is, I think, the one of the key area which we all can look into, where we can be a leaders in this area, because PET we have already done. So there are certain responsibilities for each one of us, and most of us are here only sitting in this room. Few are brand owners, recyclers, producers. From a brand owner's point of view, the important is how we educate the end customer, consumer, the guy who is collecting the waste, how he will ensure that this is the right quality, the right grade which is required to be segregated. Just quickly take an example that PP, if we see the bottommost logo, it's 5, and across homo, copolymer, or raffia grade, it's 5 only. But if I mix all these, if I see 5 as a recycle, I'll not able to make use of that recycled material. It's already contaminated, I can say. So how I can do this thing, I'll teach the people at this. So the right quality of the material is coming out. The second important point is about the recycler. Now once he has to put his system, ecosystem back, the supply chain back to get the right material and in a consistent way. So now if he's getting that material, it's no more now it's get a certain waste, you clean it, clean, grind, and then just make a pellets again and it can be used. No, it